One of the most common decisions in real estate is the decision whether or not I should refinance a piece of property, whether that's a house or a business structure. We're going to take a look at that, and I'm going to lay out an example for everybody to give a try. All right, so this is a matter, just like most financial decision, a matter of cash flows. And those cash flows being the important ones for today, the periodic cash flows every month or every year, and then what happens at the very end of the time horizon that you're trying to base your decision upon. Ultimately, it's important to realize that there is often pressure. You don't have all the information that you need, so you have to make the decision with the best information you have today and avoid the risk of overanalysis or spending too much time and adding lots of extra complexity to a model that ultimately may not change the decision. It's very important to do that as well. So the refinancing decision is one where we're going to take an old loan that we've had on a piece of property and we're going to get a new loan and replace it. So we'll take the funds from the new loan to pay off the old loan. And we usually only do this if we need one of two things: to take cash out and get a bigger loan than we had before and pull money out, and or take advantage of lower financing costs, lower interest rates. And the key is to understand what is changing: the payments, the fees up front, the payoffs down the road. So it's important to understand every step along the way, today, tomorrow, and at the very end, what are the differences or the changes. So we need to set that up. We need to understand what the differences are. So we start with our current loan. What are those going to be? What are our payments going to be? And then if we have a time horizon when we think we may pay off the loan, we need to understand what would the payoff be at that point in time. What would that cash flow be? And then what about the new loan? What's it going to cost to get the new loan up front? Or are we going to pull money out and get a positive cash flow at that point in time? Could happen either way. And then down the road, what are those payments going to be for the new loan? And then what is it going to cost us at the end to pay off the old loan, to pay off the new loan in that scenario? And then finally, what are the differences between the two? So that difference is going to drive the decision. We're going to compare those cash flows, those outflows of fees, points, payments increases, the difference in the payoff, and then payment savings. The payment could be a savings. Again, it could be a higher payment. And then are we going to take cash out and what the difference is? We're going to ignore taxes for this example, but of course taxes would make a difference as well. And ultimately, what are the differences worth to you? So you need to understand what your cost of capital is or your discount rate, and if somebody doesn't really understand what that is, well, they probably could ask their accountant to give them a rule of thumb that they could use for making this decision themselves, because certainly money today is worth more than money tomorrow, and even the most basic real estate or investment decision needs to take into account the time value of money. So let's take a look at the Jones family. They purchased a house 4 years ago and paid $265,000. They borrowed with an 80% loan at a 7% interest rate over 30 years. They had to pay fees for the appraisal back then at $2,000, and the bank also charged a 1% origination fee. And they paid all these fees out of pocket. They did not roll those into the loan. So we can set up certainly we should be able to set up the cash flows for our current situation, and we're going to compare those to a new situation. Rates have dropped, and the old bank is now offering a loan at 5%. And the Joneses have been approved for a loan to pay off their current balance only, but they have not been approved to take any cash out. Often the case, people will get refinancing to get money back to go on vacation or do other things or make other investments. The bank still wants a 1% origination fee, and they also now have, to get this rate of 5%, a 1% discount point on the new loan, so another 1%, 2% total. Costs, those original costs from before for legal and appraisals, have gone up a little bit by 10%, and these also have to be paid up front. The bank's not willing to roll these costs into the new loan. Bill's thinking that his new job, or his job, may take him to Alabama in 3 years, so they're really trying to decide whether they should do this. Does it make sense to do this if they think they can move in 3 years? A lot of decisions like this, where the rates are that much better, can make a lot of sense. Make perfect sense even with small differences if you're going to be in the loan for the full period of time. Bill and his wife really aren't sure what to use for a discount rate, so they checked with their accountant. Their accountant said, well, if you're going to do something like this, you need to kind of plug in 10%. That's about the difference, according to their accountant, between stocks and bonds and real estate. It's just a good rate to use when you're doing discount rates for this type of decision. So the decision, the Jones are considering refinancing, but they need your help. So you're their good buddy, you've lived next door to them for a while, and you said you could help them out because you've got some newfound real estate knowledge and spreadsheets. You've offered to go ahead and model this out for them in a spreadsheet, and since they want to understand how it works, you've agreed to go ahead and record your building of the spreadsheet and narrate everything so they know exactly what you're doing using Screencast-O-Matic, and you're going to send them a copy of this video for them to watch. And ultimately, they need to know whether they should do it, why, and what things might change their decision as far as rates or their timing or anything like that. What things could maybe change their decision. Everybody should have everything they need, all of the formulas. There's no fancy formulas to build this. You just need to figure out what the cash flows are on the old loan, cash flows on the new loan, and the differences. And we need to put those in a present value format so that we can make this decision. So you can help the Joneses make their decision. Should they refinance, and if they were going to refinance, would it make sense in the first year? If they were going to sell after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, at what point does it make sense? That would be very helpful for them to understand, just in case the job situation changes and he thinks he might have to move a year sooner, or maybe it might be a few years later. All right. Well, hopefully this gives you enough information to get started. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And remember, we have an Excel tutor that would certainly be happy to sit down with you and help you figure this problem out. All right, thanks.